Hello everyone and welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is supposed to be an excellent game of Terran versus Terran, where we find ourselves on the map Tropical Sacrifice. Now spawning here in the top right-hand corner, playing with the red Terran SCVs from Mexico, we have SpeCial. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Terran pieces, he's from Brazil and he goes by the name of Kelazhur. Well, I say that. Kelazhur has been living over in the Netherlands for the last couple of years, and SpeCial has been spending a lot of time over in South Korea, but it doesn't really matter all too much. From what I've heard, this particular game is an absolute banger, so it was played recently during the Dreamhack Atlanta Regionals. So yeah, let's find out exactly what ended up going down between these two. Now, generally, whenever people recommend mirror matchups to me, so a Terran versus Terran, a Zerg versus Zerg, or a Protoss versus Protoss, it usually, at least that's a theme I found, it usually starts off with a little bit of cheese, but that's not happening here. So far, everything is identical. Look at the production tab, actually. Everything's super on point. Both players now also sending out a scouting SCV that popped out of the command center itself, it seems. So that should mean that we're gonna meet smack dead in the middle of the map. I'm excited. Let's high five. Oh, it's actually getting really close if you look at the minimap. Oh, that's the center right there. Ooh, that was... Well, that must have been within a couple of pixels of the dead center of this map. That's pretty sick. Anyhow, this is the very first video that I am recording with a new audio setup. So I'm still using the same microphone, but I've updated my cables. I've got a brand new microphone arm, and I've also, most importantly, updated my audio interface, which took way too long to actually set up. I spent a lot of time researching it, and yeah, I've been trying my very best to make sure that everything is set up correctly. I guess if you're listening to this, that means that I set everything up correctly and that this cast actually then made it to the YouTube channel, so that's nice. But a little bit of feedback would be appreciated if you are listening to this. Let me know what the microphone sounds like and if there's any audio issues here in general. That way I can actually adjust them, which would be pretty great. I'm hoping everything is set up properly. That would be really nice. Anyways, SCV over here, tasked with taking a little bit of damage just so the Reapers can hopefully get an advantage from one another. So far, not really the case. We do have a little bit of a deviation right now, though, it seems. Yeah. So SpeCial is going to double down on the Reaper production for a little bit longer. He's now going to go into a Hellion. So he's already up to 2 Reapers. He's going to go for a third, and then we'll probably see double Hellion for him. Whereas on the other side of the map, we've seen Kelazhur first add on a reactor, and now he's producing 2 Reapers at once as well. So it's a little bit of a defensive posture here, at least for the time being, but we'll see these guys roaming the map here again in just a moment. So a lot of these fights, right, especially in mirror matchups, they come down to whoever gets to attack first. So obviously all of the Terran units are ranged, other than I guess the SCV, but like literally every single unit here is a ranged unit. And that means that, well, if you can get the very first hit in against your opponent's ranged units, obviously you will kill them faster because the HP is identical. There's a little bit of splash damage, obviously, especially with the grenades of the Reapers, as well as, of course, the line of fire of the Hellion. But generally, it's pretty self-explanatory. Now, how many Reapers are we going to make? Kelazhur is already going up to 5. Widowmine at the front of the natural of SpeCial. So if Kelazhur decides to get adventurous, that is something he certainly needs to keep in mind. So there's already a Raven coming up as well here for SpeCial. So that is, of course, one thing that we see all of the time in Terran versus Terran. Gas is taken here on the low ground as well. And one of the main reasons for that is indeed that Raven play. Here comes the hit squad, though, of Kelazhur. Now, keep in mind, the Reapers can, of course, jump into the main base as well. They don't have to go by this Widowmine over here, but certainly seems like a threat to me. It's as well, like it's in a really good position as well. Yeah, okay, so now it gets spotted. Good splits right there. Very nicely done. Sacrificing one of the Hellions for it, but that's a worthwhile trade for sure. Okay, the depots just barely lift up in time. Is there enough, though, for SpeCial to reliably shut all of this down? That double Reaper production turns out to be very, very nice. There's the Raven, though, as well as the Cyclone, and I believe that those units eventually should be enough to, yeah, clean all of this up. Okay. One SCV, still bravely mining the Vespene gas, but not quite okay. It took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to realize that it's Vespene gas rather than Vespian gas. I used to always say Vespian gas. You want to hear something even more embarrassing? You know how there's a Loco announcer in StarCraft 2, which, by the way, I recommend you go and pick up. It's pretty sick. Anyways, that's besides the point. In that announcer pack, I say Vespian gas. Vespian gas rather than Vespine gas. I didn't know. That's how long it took, because right after that voice pack came out, everybody let me know that I am a total idiot. Can't change it. I wish I could, but I can't. Anyways. Jimmy over here has been tasked with looking aggressively at that auto turret. Wasn't a great idea. There's a little bit of aggression here at the front as well, but the double Cyclone here from SpeCial, they're going to be able to push that away. And, well, now there's Ravens up in the air as well. He's already going to go into a third one. So one of the nice things about the Raven, of course, is that you can, generate a lot of energy on it, right? So the sooner you get them, the more helpful they're also going to be. Ravens are not commonly played in any of the other matchups, but in Terran versus Terran, they are, of course, excellent. Very good at harassment, very good at breaking siege tank lines, and very good at just, you know... They're good in the early game, good in the mid game. You can even use the anti-armor missile as well. They're good at every stage in the game. Nice lock-on right there by Kelazhur. Auto turret there is going to finish off the Cyclone, but I would say a Cyclone for a Raven is well worth it. Don't tell the Cyclone guys, but the Cyclone guys are nice. But usually as the game progresses, they tend to just kind of blow up. Like, the thing is, they require a lot of micro, right? And at some point, you're usually dealing with massive groups of Marines, and they tend to take priority. Nice little bit of control here, though. Can't complain about that. Okay, so there's the third command center done right now for Kelazhur. And honestly, even though both players are taking different roads, they are arriving at a very similar location at the same time. Although, SpeCial hasn't actually started up... Oh, that's why. Okay. He has not yet started up Stimpec. That's because he's playing Terran Mech here. Interesting. So he is going into additional factory production right now. Nice contain over here, though, at the bottom of the red Terran player's ramp. That means that this command center could be in a little bit of trouble, although SpeCial is going to siege up a tank right over there. Okay. He says thank you to those Marines. Okay, sorry. He does, though. Now he's going to try and use some of his auto turrets to break out. The useless Cyclones I was talking about, trying their very best as well to soak up a couple of the hits. And it looks like there will be enough to actually push this back. But right now, the age of the Cyclone is over, okay? I'm sorry to the Cyclone lovers. Maybe he's going to add on a couple more in a moment, but probably not as many as you'd like to see as a Cyclone connoisseur. Landed Vikings are actually so cool. I actually still think Vikings in general have to be one of the coolest designed units in StarCraft 2. Like, we see them more and more now over the last couple of years. For like the first decade of StarCraft 2's existence, landed Vikings were completely irrelevant. But these days, they're actually used all the time for supplemental damage and for soaking up a couple hits here and there. Actually, such a sick unit. We can talk about Cyclones all we like. Actually, all the unit design in StarCraft 2 is really good. Like, there's some that maybe are not as exciting. But generally speaking, I think StarCraft absolutely nailed it when it came to unit design. Like, if you look at other RTS games, I was, for example, okay, I don't want to trash talk any other RTS games, but a little bit of friendly feedback from Lowko, okay? I was watching the Wololol tournament for Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 4 just a couple of days ago. Very fun tournament, amazing production, clearly, yeah, incredibly well set up. But as soon as you go to the game, maybe it's because I haven't played those games too much, but all the units look the same to me. Like, I'm looking, like, you almost need, like, binoculars to, like, look at your monitor and be like, is that a sword guy, or is that a spear guy, or does he have a bow? Like, I guess it's because they're trying to be realistic, and all of the units are, like, you know, similarly sized, because they're, you know, sized to a human, I guess, right? And the trees are pretty big and all that, but legibility really takes, a back foot in those kind of scenarios. I think StarCraft 2 absolutely nailed it in that department. Actually, the more I think about, like, design principles of RTS in general, the more I realize how much StarCraft Brood War, so StarCraft 1, absolutely nailed it in that department. It's actually really sick. Like, Brood War came out such a long time ago, but the unit design, the unit legibility, the pacing of the game, strategically speaking, all of it is really good. Which is kind of funny. Because, like, they must have tried to make a really good game, but they clearly weren't intending on it to be that competitive as it, you know, turned out to be. But the fact that it's like, it really hammered home a lot of the things. Like, I think, for example, damage output in StarCraft 2 is a bit too high. Like, the battles are very explosive, especially as a player. But anyways, that's a discussion for another time, but I think it's pretty sick. Okay, anti-armor missile is still gonna go off. even though the Raven here gets sacrificed, and Kelazhur decides to stim forward with the Marines right now. He's splitting to the best of his abilities, but there's already so many siege tanks set up. This is the real strength of that mech army. Whew. It is very difficult to break those siege tank lines, and yeah, SpeCial has layers of them, right? There were a couple of siege tanks in the front, but a lot more right there in the back. Certainly not an ideal engagement right there for Kelazhur. Then again, he's got Marines. Marines are, and again, don't tell them, they're pretty cheap. I like the choice, by the way, of playing Terran Mech on this map quite a bit. Tropical Sacrifice is... It's got a lot of high grounds, right? So like this, it's all on a high ground. Basically, there's bases that you can take everywhere. And since it's got 4 playable layers, there's, yeah, a lot of surface area to defend. And obviously, having the high ground makes the siege tanks, especially when sieged up, a little bit better. But on top of that, there's just not that many choke points that you can really use to your advantage. The map is very, very choky. And siege tanks, of course, absolutely love that. Plus, a lot of other people do too. But anyways, that's again, a story for another... Okay, Command Center is going to try and land in the middle of the map. A little bit of an ambitious plan right there for SpeCial. But since he's having a hard time securing the base on the right side, he's going to try his hand at taking the base in the middle instead. Yeah, siege tanks are going to drive on over in that direction. General game plan right now for SpeCial is to max out on as many expensive Terran Mech units as possible. So that's his main goal. He's got double armory. Really needs to start up the second upgrade as well, but maybe he's not getting that just yet because, well, he's under a lot of pressure here and he needs to spend his money on like units instead. But that's his ultimate goal. He wants to max out on a very strong mech army. So we see him playing relatively passively here for at least another little while. He's gonna hit a bit of a supply block here. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Kelazhur is playing a lot of a cheaper army, so usually the Bio-Terran is the one who will be more aggressive in these sort of scenarios. Either economically, so you could, for example, try to secure like 100 workers. So he's currently at 86, which is certainly a very respectable amount. Or just by, yeah, throwing units at the opponent and trying to prevent them from being maxed out. The problem is, the timing window has already closed for that. I mean, you can still try and prevent SpeCial from maxing out, I suppose, but he's nearly there, right? He's already pretty much there, so it's very difficult to stop that. He still has about 30 seconds or so, 30 seconds to a minute. So he could certainly try and take a fight before SpeCial is properly well set up, because a lot of the supply that's already counted is still units that are on the production tab. But we're getting to the point, okay, maybe this is the opportunity though. Yeah, we're getting to the point where the Terran in red is completely maxed. I love the fact that he actually did not siege up all the tanks. Now he's trying to move in, and you know what? I think that Kelazhur may have just found a nice window into his opponent's base. This is going to do a little bit of damage for sure. There are 3 Thors available, and still a lot of SCVs as well, so repairs could be an option. But this is exactly what our Brazilian Terran here was looking for. Yeah, he was attempting it earlier, didn't get as much value, but now 22 SCVs later, sure, he's going to have to sacrifice some of the Marines here, but that is a trade he is willing to take. No, a trade he's willing to make, rather. Or take. I guess it works. Okay. SpeCial has 69 SCVs remaining. That is quite nice, but not as nice as he had earlier. Kelazhur happily expanding. 4 command centers being added on right now, so since his army is cheaper, he's going to be able to afford more command centers here a little bit later on as well. And we all know what happens, right? In the mid to late game of Terran versus Terran. Are you prepared to hear the sound? It's going to happen in just a moment, okay? We're getting to the point where these guys have infinite amounts of scans. Okay, maybe not infinite, but they'll be able to keep track of exactly where the opponent is located very easily. So even though there's technically a fog of war, with all of those sensor towers in place and with the amount of scans that will be available very soon, I believe we are headed into a game where the scans are gonna reveal the opponent's army and the fog of war is not going to be as relevant anymore. There it is. We're starting, man. A little bit of a Hellion run by here at the bottom of the map. Burning a couple of those machines. All right. I wonder if Mr. Kelazhur is going to pivot away from playing this bio army at all. So he started up, yeah, okay, additional what are they called? Starports here. So that's good. Going for a lot of Ravens here for the time being. Obviously, with interference matrices, you can just disable all of those heavy hitters of your opponent. But yeah, SpeCial is well turtled up right now. All right. Problem is, though, SpeCial also has a lot of bases to cover. And those siege tanks cannot be in multiple places at once. So yeah, very good movement here from Kelazhur. I'm impressed with the way that Kelazhur has been playing lately. He's been looking very strong. At least in the games I've seen. Obviously, I don't watch every single match that these guys play, but in the games that I've seen, Mr. Kelazhur has been looking solid. Like, SpeCial has just been so dominant in the Latin America scene, right? That, yeah, we've kind of gotten to the point where we take him winning everything for granted, but the other players have certainly crossed that gap a little bit as far as the skill level goes. You do love to see that. All right. High-sec auto-tracking coming up. That's a little bit of additional range on planetaries, on missile turrets, and on auto turrets as well. +1 ranged, I believe, which is pretty sweet. And now we're going to go into the vehicle weapon upgrades as well. So we are making a slow transition here towards mech. Fusion core coming up as well. That is most of the time... Well, we could see battle cruisers. That's what I wish. But most of the time... Oh, God. Are we really going to stim up here? It's going to be for Liberators. Kelazhur does decide to move up that ramp. That seems very ballsy. Yeah, and SpeCial, he's got a massive army over here. There's the Liberator, and that Liberator is going to continuously fire away at those siege tanks. A couple more will certainly go down. Even the Vikings right now land on the ground, and Kelazhur took a massive mistake there as he just lost, I don't know, a very healthy amount of resources, right? So this is the amount of stuff that Kelazhur killed, and this is the amount of stuff that SpeCial killed. It's not even in the same ballpark. Okay. So, that's exactly what SpeCial was waiting for. SpeCial is now preparing himself to go to the other side of the map. It's a slow-moving army. It's going to be difficult for some of those units to go through all of those choke points as well. But yeah, this is certainly going to force Kelazhur to disengage. One blue flame heli in here, turning into a Hellbat. It's going to harass the base over here on the left side. And now the expansion all the way down south has already been cleared as well. This is effectively putting Kelazhur back on just the quadrant that he started on, right? So it's just this little corner of the map with just, well, 3 bases in total, with 2 of them completely mined out. Well, 450 minerals remaining, but that's really about it. This should also be the time where Mr. SpeCial is going to start taking a lot more bases. It's difficult for SpeCial to move up that ramp for, well, much of the same reason as to why it was difficult for Kelazhur to do that. Because obviously those high grounds are still incredibly helpful. Okay, Kelazhur has found an angle though. Yeah, so SpeCial was busy fighting the bases in the top left, and that's nice and all, but Kelazhur just marched straight through the center of the map, which is a very ballsy move, but it may just very well be the correct one. Okay, this game is just about to make a complete 180. SpeCial was in a very comfortable spot just now, but now, yeah, we see Kelazhur marching into his opponent's bases. He wanted to go further. He wanted to go deeper into the main base. He's forced to siege up already, but now suddenly SpeCial comes derping up the main ramp. Is there enough for the Red Terran player here to break all of this? I believe he will have enough here, but the question is, at what cost? That fight... Yeah, it was better. It was better, but... maybe not quite ideal. I'm not exactly sure if actually this already reset. No, it's been counting for 2.5 minutes. I don't think it quite reset yet. But it certainly looks a little bit better now for Kelazhur. At the very least, you know, he's alleviated that pressure on the other side of the map. I would actually like to see a full-on counterattack right away once again for SpeCial, but... If he gives his opponent too much time, Kelazhur is now securing all of those bases again that he was just supposed to give up, right? So he's got a lot of command centers still. He lifted off with those pretty much right away, and even though we may have seen... yeah, 3 of them go down so far in this game. He's got a lot more. It's not the end of the world, that's for sure. He's got 6 more here. Small little hit squad of units ready to take out the base in the center. He'll be happy to note that that base was never taken. SpeCial is dumping a lot of his resources right now into Hellions, which are pretty good at harassment. They're pretty good at just pure marine armies, but as soon as they meet siege tanks, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Okay, a couple of the SCVs evacuate on out of there by going into the medevac, but still, a bunch of them ended up going down as well. Those bio units, though, yeah, they've gone all the way around, and they have now found a nice little nuke, but still 2 siege tanks here in the back as well. Nicely positioned there by Mr. Special, keeping those in the right place. It's important to not bring all of your units to the front, because then those run-bys can do a ridiculous amount of damage. Okay, and 20 minutes into the game, it has basically evened up now. I still like this position a little bit better for for Special right now, but Kelazhur has a massive economy. That's the main problem with Terran Mech, pretty much always. It's just really hard to actually secure further bases, right? Like these first 4... Whoa, all right. I don't know. Thank you very much, phone. My phone just did a search result for the word economy. Thank you. Thank you for that. What was I saying? I was saying something. Anyways, probably wasn't important. Oh yeah, it's easy to take these first 4 bases, but 48 SCVs on 8 mineral patches, not ideal, believe it or not. I know, that's crazy. So Kelazhur right now, yeah, is certainly gonna grab that income advantage once again. That full counterattack, that Hail Mary play through the center of the map that he went for, it was a little dangerous, but it was certainly the right call. Well, after falling behind anyways, right? Like that's... He probably doesn't want to be in that position in the first place, but once he got there, it's probably the best move you can make. Now, I love this position here by Special. Yeah. Using those siege tanks over there to make it essentially impossible for Kelazhur to go in over there, right? So he sees all of the siege tanks there. And that makes it impossible for those bio units to stim forward and try to take all of this out. He might go if Special decides to unsiege everything, but Special smartly only unsieging part of the army. Oh, he's thinking about it, though. I think he's thinking about jumping this force. Nah, okay. As long as the tanks are sieged, I don't think he can. Again, Special sending out parts of his army. Reminds me kind of of like a Zerg playstyle, right? We see Zergs doing this all the time, where you're like, okay, you're creating a contain on my force, I'm gonna counterattack. Like, if you're gonna try and go for a slow push, I could probably deal damage on your side of the map and then, you know, still be home in time to defend as well. It depends on the speed. Like, this is forcing Special to make a move. And apparently the move right now is to retreat. Oh, no, it's not to retreat. A little bit of indecisiveness. But that's what these little run-bys do. Those counterattacks, no. Okay, so he is thinking about retreating again. You can see that he is certainly scratching his head as to what to do about these little attack groups. And in the meantime, Kelazhur once again expanding on the left side of the map. It's funny how, like, Terran Bio versus Terran Mech in TVT kind of turns into a Zerg versus Terran. Like, strategically, at least, it's very reminiscent of it. Okay. Yeah, those bio units in the back got absolutely evaporated. Kelazhur still has a large army. He decides to stim forward over here. We need to see some splits. Stimpec has just worn off as well. My god, that was expensive. The siege tank spread right here from Special is excellent, who just now also secured another base once again. Still oversaturating a lot of this. Wouldn't mind seeing another base trying to head on over here, but Kelazhur, once again, sending a little hit squad towards the bottom right-hand corner. The problem right now, though, for our Brazilian Terran is the siege tank count. We're talking 3 siege tanks versus 14. One Thor goes down, one siege tank goes down, another siege tank in a little bit of trouble, but once they're sieged up, life gets a little bit better. Oh, yeah, you know what? I actually don't think that was a bad trade at all for that bio army. Command Center even got killed right here on the right side since it wasn't a planetary fortress. Special's running out of juice. Like, Special is running out of money here. He needs to be very careful. He's got a very nice supply count for now, though. But again, it's difficult to push forward on this map. It's good to defend with siege tanks, but how in the world do you engage when the majority of your army is just, you know, a bunch of tanks? It's very difficult to properly do that. Like, usually you siege up and then you unsiege the ones in the back, move them forward, siege up, unsiege. It's a slow progression. And Kelazhur is showing us how you're supposed to engage against someone who's playing that style. Okay. This is going to be a bit of an SCV bloodbath over here. Close your eyes, Terran player. Or Terran players, or open them, actually. Kind of depends on which side of this game you imagine yourself on. Okay. So Special has 70 SCVs, but no place for them to mine. So the supply count is actually much closer than you would imagine. 88 army supply versus 91. Kelazhur once again going for the full-on counterattack. lot of siege tanks here in red rather are caught in the middle of the map. Okay, he could jump this. Okay, Special's thinking the same thing. Scans here continuously reveal where these armies are at. Kills another command center for his troubles. Love to see that. One SCV here. Scouted the base taken at the 11 o'clock position. 10 o'clock, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, Special is trying to chase this army a little too aggressively for my liking. I'm a little afraid that he looks away for half a second and the bio army stims and just murders everything. Because he is very spread out, right? He's got units all over the map. Again, nice little run by over here. A lot of units at the very least softened up. But Kelazhur is mining quite a bit here. Well, I think Special probably... Where's he even getting his income from? He's getting a little bit more income. I think it's probably just these mineral fields that are running very low, but that income is not very reliable. And at least for the next couple of minutes, he's going to be okay. But after that, he will be completely run out. Whereas Kelazhur just secured, yeah, the base over here again. Now, there's not a lot of mining over here either, but he seems a lot more flexible. 26 minutes into the game. And it's still unclear as to who's actually winning the game. Top level StarCraft 2 is so much fun. It's so good. It's funny as well because it keeps getting better. That's the most impressive part about the whole situation. This game has been around for literally 12 years now. Players are still improving. Okay, so Special can make it pretty much impossible for Kelazhur to fight this base in the center. So that's where he's going to be taking his resources next. Problem is, if you commit too many of your siege tanks in this area, as we saw before, the other side of the map is very, very vulnerable. Sometimes the planetary can also give you a false sense of security. Because sure, it's very good. Like, this can hold a bit of an army, right? The siege tank and the planetary, but if Kelazhur gets on top of that, it's dead in about half a second. Okay, so we're basically going back to mining now. Yeah. Both players very close to winning the game at multiple occasions. Things have evened up. Bio army over there gets spotted. Very nicely done here by Special. Not sacrificing these Hellions this time around. They're becoming, like initially they were a mineral dump, but they're becoming very valuable. He knows very well that these SCVs down south are just 1 or 2 hits away from dying, but hasn't been able to really properly make a move in that direction. Okay. Kelazhur spots the army right now. Ooh, really? Okay. I think he's once again just going to go full counterattack. There we go. It's just a planetary at this point, though. Sensor towers, I guess, will also get denied. Bases are going to move around again. Yeah, it's not really worth throwing units into a planetary fortress. Getting rid of the sensor towers there is far more important. Here comes Special with the slow-moving army. He's actually set up a complete run-by over here. A little bit risky, but trading out a bunch of those siege tanks is not bad at all. This does trigger now Special to move forward as well at the southern section of this map. Okay, he's sieged up in a good spot, but not in range of the orbital command just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if Kelazhur once again goes up north. He might just be setting up a huge surround over here. Expansion taken in this location. SCV's not right-clicked onto the mineral field. Instead, he now decides to go for a drop on top of the tanks here. Since they were unsupported, Special ends up losing quite a few of them. The bulk of his Terran army, though, is still set up. Orbital command is going to go down. SCVs are mining over here. This is not something that Special knows about. He was the one that forced the liftoff on that orbital command, but he lost track of it. And now there's a little bit of cheeky mining here in the bottom right-hand corner. This is also because Kelazhur is once again moving forward here with his main army. He's trying to get into a good spot. 36 SCVs are trying to bring home those minerals here for Special, but that command center is in a lot of trouble. Not enough firepower, I don't think, to actually take it down, but just denying it is very nice. And you'll also find out that this base up here is not actually mining. There's no resources gathered in this location yet. 62 workers on one mineral line. That is not what you want. Okay, now the base in the bottom right gets spotted. Special probably thinking, hey, where did that CC go? He's found it. Hellions tasked with getting this done, but Kelazhur, once again, in the right place at the right time. Kelazhur is playing excellent. I kind of expected his game to be, yeah, maybe a bit more one-sided, right? And you know, Mr. SpeCial obviously being the favorite, at least, you know, in pretty much every single previous encounter that these two have had in the past, but not the case at all. Supply count dead even, but army-wise, it's 114 supply, 113 here for Kelazhur, 75 for SpeCial. Half an hour in. Who's winning? I think I actually now like the position for Kelazhur a little bit better. APM-wise, you can see that, yeah, the bio player has to be significantly faster. So despite the fact that Kelazhur is pressing 8 buttons a second on average here, it's not enough to do everything flawlessly. He probably thinks he sent these to mining. Beautiful. Grabbing those units. And that Hellion is not going to be able to get much done. Okay. So, SpeCial once again securing the center of the map, now also going for the 12 o'clock position. This is him playing the long game in a game that's already 31 minutes long. Like, he's basically saying, yo, I want to be mining out these bases. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Now, this is a good position, though, here, because how in the world are you going to break this? Well, one thing you can do is go from the site into the main base instead. This is where all of the production here of SpeCial is located. So that is definitely an option that Kelazhur has. Seems that Kelazhur for now, though, is happy to just take the bases that he's got and to essentially reset the mining in this game. He's grabbing all of those Hellion run-bys. Like, really good stuff. We saw some trouble with those earlier, but I feel like the last dozen or so Hellions that have been sent out have all been caught. SpeCial going for one singular supply depot over here, trying to be annoying in case the opponent decides to mine that mineral line once more. Okay, that's not quite enough. No, these units are going to run and get on out of there. A couple other units are going to try and save them. Okay, that may actually be enough Hellions to get some good damage done on the mineral line, although I say that we're not quite there yet. Yeah, 3 workers is totally acceptable. Kelazhur trying to get the air superiority. So the only way to really push effectively with these siege tanks is by having a bunch of liberators and whatnot up in the air as well. And that's exactly what SpeCial is trying to do right now. But as long as all those liberators get sniped out of the sky and he can win the air battle, the Vikings are going to get shut down. And just siege tanks alone are just not going to cut it. So it's actually kind of cool as well that we've seen very few medevac drops, right? Like, this is very different than, for example, a Bjorn. Bjorn would be dropping all over the map, trying his very best to get maximum amounts of damage in, but it's not what we see in this game. Okay. SpeCial even making a new command center. Yeah, he wants to just take the entire top left-hand corner, I guess. Maybe even consider taking this base later on. The one with the dog. Another Hellion run by over here, but not gonna happen. Marine over there. Not a lot of anti-air. Oh, there's a Viking as well, but it's gonna be enough to get rid of that Liberator too. And Kelazhur is slowly maxing out once more. He's been here before. It's been about 10 minutes, at least, maybe 15, since he was last maxed out. Now he's gonna go into the Fusion Core himself and start mass-producing Liberators. I really like the way that Kelazhur is playing this game. I don't know if he's winning this. I think he might just be, but I am very impressed, that's for sure. Maybe that's just because, in general, I am usually biased towards the guy who's not playing Turtle. I'm never a huge fan of the Turtle-y playstyle. I'm very glad it's a viable playstyle in StarCraft 2, but I do find myself pretty much always leaning towards the guy who's like trying to backstab and trying to, you know, strategically outmaneuver his opponent and all that, rather than the guy who's mostly sitting back. But anyways, this may be the engagement that we're looking for. Huge stim pack right there. Super expensive siege tank as well. There's no medeffects really with this army, but is there enough for Kelazhur to just break through this? There's so many tanks right there in the back. Okay, he may have been a little bit over-eager. This bridge is lethal. If the siege tanks can fire at that bridge, they will certainly do so. The splash damage there against those clumped up infantry units is ridiculous. Maybe jumping the gun on that one a little bit. Okay, SpeCial keeping his head a lot cooler over the last few minutes, right? It seems, at least to me, that SpeCial is more comfortable in this scenario. And maybe, like, Kelazhur was thinking, oh my god, I got this. Oh my god, I got this. Oh my god, I got... And I don't have it. Careful, Mr. Kelazhur. Alright, so now these Hellions are starting to hurt. Kelazhur only at 23 workers. Excellent control here by SpeCial. Just relentless play. The Hellions aren't going to make it back home. Not even when they turn into Hellbats, but they have successfully shut down an economy, and woof, there you go. Up the roller coaster we go. That cheeky little supply depot from earlier, this was SpeCial thinking 5 minutes in advance. That cheeky little supply depot blocking the command center that Kelazhur just finished, and he's gonna need a little bit of help to get rid of that depot before he can start a planetary there. That being said, SpeCial has already done the same thing here, right next door. So these guys are very close to one another now. Ravens once again coming up. SpeCial's so patient. Even though I think Kelazhur has been playing a better mid-game overall, SpeCial's late-game patience here has been quite superior. Okay, he's thinking about making a move once again. He's spread very thinly, though. Like, a lot of these siege tanks are just defending locations on the map, but that means that the actual army that's now going across is really not that big. That orbital command is going to get shut down, and I think that this army is going to go back home. Yeah, pretty much right away. It makes sense. You want to have the back line, right? But you don't want to have that much of a back line. He's now even going into Widow Mines as well, by the way. I saw him going, yeah, Drilling Claws earlier. Upgrades-wise, by the way, we never really got the fully maxed out armies. I think it's important to get there, but apparently Kelazhur is going to opt to spend more of his resources onto Ravens instead. Anti-armor missiles super good against these clumped up units, that's for certain. Same, of course, on those siege tanks with the interference. Okay, now this is a pretty decent fight. There's the Widow Mines moving far forward, though, dealing a lot of splash damage to those Vikings. Kelazhur is eventually the one who, over the course of like 15 minutes, got suffocated here by SpeCial. But what a sick game. Excellent gameplay by both of these players. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you made it all the way until the end of this video, please make sure you hit that like button down below. It only takes 1 second, but it really does help. For now, though, thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.